Hello, Hammy Time here. This video is about my hamster Millet's maloccluded teeth. Malocclusion is a misalignment of the upper and lower teeth. Malocclusion can happen to a hamster when they don't wear down their teeth, causing their teeth to grow too long. It could also be from injuries, or it can be hereditary. In Millet's case, I believe he broke off one of his bottom teeth and injured the other, which caused the top teeth to grow too long. He didn't always have it. He used to chew up his whimsy chews so quick that I would have to replace them often. The first sign of a problem I noticed was that he looked a little thinner to me, but I assumed it was due to age. Robo-hamsters tend to start to show their age after about 1 year. The second sign I noticed was when I gave him a Gerber puff treat. It didn't make a crunching sound when he was clearly chewing on it. I looked at his whimsy chews and I saw that he had not chewed on the new ones yet, which was very unusual for him. I knew something was wrong, so I checked his teeth and saw that he was missing one of his bottom teeth and the other was growing at an angle. The two top teeth were overgrown and one tooth was curling up and was about to grow into his palate. I panicked and considered trying to clip his teeth. Millet is the second hamster with malocclusion that I've had. My Syrian hamster Snickers also had maloccluded teeth. She had a condition called Hydrocephalus, which is a hereditary condition that causes intracranial pressure, giving a hamster a smushed-looking face. I had to clip her teeth every 2 weeks. I clipped her teeth as opposed to filing them down because she did not tolerate me filing her teeth at all. I was not able to clip Millet's teeth because his mouth is so tiny and I didn't have clippers small enough to safely clip them, so I had to rush him to the vet. The vet was able to clip down his teeth, giving me time to order suture scissors that are small enough for his mouth. Suture scissors are perfect for him because they are small and have a curved blade at the tip, which allows me to safely hook his teeth. I do not recommend clipping your hamster's teeth yourself. Please take your hamster to a vet. If your hamster must have regular trimmings and you have to do it yourself, please have a veterinarian show you how to do it. I can explain my technique, but I do not have any video of me clipping Millet's teeth because it's such an intense process that I cannot be worried about my camera. I need to be 100% focused on what I'm doing. So my technique involves two people. My son gently holds Millet for me. Covering his eyes seemed to help calm him down and gets him to stay still. First I wipe the suture scissors with some alcohol and then rinse it with water. I use a Q-tip to open his mouth and set it across his mouth to hold back and protect his tongue. I take the suture scissors and carefully hook one tooth. I clip only one tooth at a time. I come in from the side. I do not cut in a downward direction. When I hook the tooth, I slowly turn the scissors around the tooth until I can see the tip of the scissors, making sure that only the tooth will be cut. When I know it's safe, I clip the tooth and immediately put him back down on the counter, so if a piece of tooth fell into his mouth, he can spit it back out. After I'm done clipping his teeth, I check him over and put him back into his cage. He typically goes over to his snack shack log and gnaws on it, which helps file down the tips. I keep track of when I clip his teeth by writing down the date on a clipboard. I check and clip his teeth every 2 weeks. I do my best to clip his teeth evenly, but unfortunately I don't think at this point his teeth will ever be normal again. He keeps breaking them off, so they're never the same length. I started feeding Millet soft food such as baby food and critical care twice a day to get his weight back up. He can still eat small seeds, but pellets and vegetables need to be ground or chopped up. To grind up pellets, I use either a mortar and pestle or a coffee grinder. I ground up all the pellets I had to create a variety of options. One of Millet's favorites is oatmeal. To prepare the oatmeal or pellets, I add water and mix it in a small dish to create a soupy mixture. He gets oatmeal every morning and pellets every night. I mix dry powders with filtered water to make it easier to eat and to keep Millet from accidentally inhaling them. Millet loves sunflower and pumpkin seeds. I use a mortar and pestle to grind them up. I do not add water because the seeds are a little oily, so they don't need it. He loves baby food. The issue I have with baby food, however, is that it has a short shelf life after it's been opened. It says on the jar to use within 2 days. I definitely do not use it all within 2 days, so much of it would get wasted. Fortunately, I figured out a way to save and store it long term after opening. After 2 days, I take the leftover baby food and I either freeze it or dehydrate it into a powder that can be stored long term. I prefer to freeze anything with fruit in it and dehydrate everything else. Fruit does not dehydrate well enough to make a powder. To freeze baby food, I put drops of it onto a sheet of parchment paper. I place the sheet into the freezer long enough for the drops to freeze solid, and then I remove them and put them into a jar. I place the jar back into the freezer. The frozen drops make it possible to take out and use only what I need and not have to melt the entire jar each time. I do the same process of separating onto parchment for anything I freeze, such as yogurt. I give my hamsters a tiny bit of plain, unsweetened yogurt if they're on antibiotics. Frozen peas and corn make a great treat. I drop them into a small dish with hot water and let the hot water thaw it out, which only takes about a minute. For Millet, I then mash it or chop it up into little bits. To thaw the frozen drops of baby food, I avoid using the microwave and use a scented oil burner instead. I remove the kettle and place a fireproof glass dish onto it. I put the frozen food drop into the dish and then light the tea light candle underneath it. It melts really fast, so I stir it to keep it from drying up. To dehydrate leftover baby food, I use my dehydrator. My toaster oven has a dehydrator setting as well. I pour the baby food onto the tray and spread it around evenly, not too thin and not too thick. I set it at 135 degrees Fahrenheit and dehydrate for a couple of hours. When it's completely dry, I remove it from the tray with a knife. I drop it into my coffee grinder and grind it up into a powder. I then put it into a small jar using a funnel. I use these mini mason jars. I like using these instead of spice jars because the opening is big enough to fit a spoon. The baby food powders go back into the original jars. To use the powders, I mix them with water to rehydrate it. I put a little more water than powder and let it sit for a minute to get it to rehydrate to its original consistency. It looks and tastes about the same as it did originally, however it's more concentrated, so I don't give millet as much as I do when it's fresh. I'm not sure what the shelf life is, but because it doesn't make very much powder, I usually go through it really quick, so I don't worry about it. The water has been removed, so that's what keeps it from spoiling. I actually have dehydrated vegetables that I use for myself, which are stored long term, and I've never had a problem with them going bad. I make my own baby food as well. I make pureed corn, broccoli, and carrots. One thing I'd like to mention is the baby food oatmeal and cereals from the store all have iron and other vitamins added to them, so I do not use them. Organic brands that do not have anything added to it are okay. To store all of the jars, I had to custom make a cabinet. The jars are bigger than standard spice jars, so I couldn't fit them into a standard spice rack. The cabinet helps me keep from cluttering up my counter. To make the cabinet, I used a frame needlepoint that I got secondhand and built a cabinet around it. I mounted the cabinet in the hall next to the bathroom where I typically prepare part of Millet's meals. I use filtered water that I keep in my bathroom to mix the powders. So that's how I handle Millet's malocclusion. After I started to feed him soft food, he went back to a healthy weight. He seems to enjoy his meals and his teeth do not appear to bother him. For more information, please check the description box. Thank you for watching.